Ashihin slow my dish was the bashes chin. Toba should chato touching me dash nala. Kinda cheat day I used in a shahado could a phoenix the age shagan. Do aro Tebaho on the 8th Nashnish. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for our public utilities session. This is the Dene Workshop Series. We have partnered with our Navajo Division of Economic Development Small Business Programs and our National Center PTAC office to bring you these sessions on different topics relating to federal contracting. The Division of Economic Development also has some other resource webinars that they're doing on small business startups and financing and those types of sessions. But today we have guest speakers from our public utilities from Arizona and New Mexico that will be joining us and presenting information on how to do business with their corporations. First up, we have Patti Pyle. She's the Supplier Diversity Manager for Salt River Project. And then next up, we'll have Sibia Manzanarez. I'm sorry, I didn't mess that up, Sibia. She's the Supplier Diversity Program Manager with Arizona Public Service. And then last up, we have Dalina Amador, the Manager for Supply Chain Sourcing at PNM of New Mexico. So we have a great lineup of speakers this afternoon. I'm so thankful that they were able to take time out of their schedule to come and join us and share their information with us. So if without further ado, I'd just like to give you a little overview of what we do with the Procurement Technical Assistance Center. We are a grant-funded program that's operated by the National Center for American Indian Enterprise Development. This program is funded under the U.S. Department of Defense and the Defense Logistics Agency. And what our charge is to work with small businesses that are looking at getting into federal contracting. So we provide technical assistance to our Navajo-owned small businesses and helping them to get registered to be a federal contractor with their SAM and DUNS registration. If they qualify for any of the Small Business Administration socioeconomic certification programs like HubZone or the 8A Business Development Program, we help with the packaging of those applications to help get you certified as well. So we also offer a bid match service where you get daily emails on federal bid opportunities that come through the federal, what they used to call the FBO, so that you get information on projects within your North American Industry Classification Code, your NAICS code, that matches up with those federal opportunities. You get that by email, some of the project information and what's going up for bid. So like I said, my office is within the Kerrigan building in St. Michael's within the Division of Economic Development. And we also have other offices, one in Georgia where my program manager, George Williams, sits. We have another office in Albuquerque where my colleague, Adolfo Vasquez, is the procurement specialist that covers that area. And then in Syracuse, New York, we have Ms. Chris Pierce, who's doing the outreach in the Northeast part of the United States. And we also have a temporary consultant that's covering our Denver, Colorado, and the rest of Colorado area, who's Mabel Sosi. She's one of my colleagues that's covering the outreach for that area. So without further ado, we'll get started with Ms. Patti Pyle from the Salt River Project.
Oh, thank you, Joanne. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, very good. So I'm going to just start with a safety minute because we are, all three of us are in the utility industry, and it's an unforgiving industry, and we start our meetings out with a safety minute. So for this group, I just wanted to share with you, there really is excessive dangers in sitting for an extended length of time. And that's really according to the American Journal of Preventative Medicine. So we find ourselves sitting a lot more during this pandemic than we did previously. So force yourself to get up, stretch, move around in between meetings, and you'll have a healthier life. You'll be better off for it. So I'm really going to go through our supplier diversity commitment, our capability statements, what we're looking for. I want to give you a little brief on how to onboard with SRP, and then what opportunities that we have. So I really want to start out today and share Srp statistics. Now, I want you to be aware this is only through the third quarter of this year. Our fiscal year ends tomorrow, and our statistics will be a little higher as Darlene updates those for our management team. But what do we look like? Our mission is to promote a composition of corporate spend that is reflective of the communities we serve. And in Arizona, you recognize we have a lot of diversity in Arizona with our native lands and my other minority businesses and our women. So we do look for small local firms, the women, the minorities, and of course our veterans and our disabled veterans. So for FY21, which we're currently in right now, our targets are set at 24% spend, diverse spend, and we have a stretch goal of 26%. So currently, through the third quarter, $170 million in diverse spend. So it does reflect a 24% spend. We've utilized 623 diverse businesses that we've utilized. So if we look at the data on the bottom from FY 18, 19, and 20, you can see we consistently increase our targets so that our buyers and analysts and internal end users have a goal. So they stretch to achieve more every year. So going from 22%, 23, 24, and I will let you know that moving forward, starting in May, in the next 30 days, we'll be moving our target to 25% so that we can engage with our teams to actually do better and do more. So when we really talk about making the right choices for SRP, why do we support supplier diversity? Why does SRP invest in the development of local and diverse firms? Why do we have corporate contributions? We sponsor local organizations, just as we do the Navajo Nation or the National Center, American Indian Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber. We encourage businesses also to be suppliers for SRP. This really all comes down to economic empowerment of our small, local, and diverse businesses where we live and work. I'm sure Joanne really feels this because she works for economic development within the tribe and Navajo Nation. So since 1995, our leadership has always supported diverse organizations, our ethnic chambers, certification organizations, etc. Really since actually it was 2005, we began to include our veterans and our service disabled veterans, as we well should have, in our diverse groups. And we continue today to foster all groups that are recognized by the federal government to just have a level playing field for opportunities. So when we talk about our connection, I'm going to share with you, how do we find you? How do you do business with us? And the connection is pretty simple. It's Darlene and myself, and Darlene is attending with us today. Her and I are supplier diversity for SRP, and we're housed within the supply chain. All these beautiful stars that circle us are the buyers and analysts who buy products and services for SRP. Those are the people we're engaged with, so that when opportunities come up, they ask us, who can we include? And Darlene and I usually go in and find businesses to include. Otherwise, we're looking for SAP, our employee resource groups, through supplier diversity, people contacting us, and our internal customers. We also have our certification organization. I think some of you are aware of the Pacific Southwest Minority Council. With all of their members, they certify minority businesses. And they also have a utility interest group that we belong to, and we can connect with other small businesses. Our community partners, and you'll notice here that we have the American Indian Chamber of Commerce and also the National Center, their logos here, because we have been with them as community partners for many years, looking for our suppliers in these organizations. And our relationships are next. So SRP has very, very strong relationships with many of these organizations. Southwest Gas, our friends at APS, Sibia and I do a lot of things together, but across the board, APS and SRP do support our community, Cox, and our universities. And they also share their suppliers with us. If I have a great supplier, I could call Sibia and say, if you're looking for someone in cybersecurity, this is a great company that does a great job for SRP. And then she has the opportunity to look at that firm as well. We also have a connection with WBAC West. That's the Women's Business Enterprise West. And of course, through their members, their forums, and all the events that WBAC has is the connection within the community. And finally, our industry alliances, the National Utility Diversity Council, Edison Electric, Western Energy. I would say that we also have a relationship with RES. Joanne and I were talking a little bit earlier before we started here. SRP has supported RES for many, many years in sponsorships and attending. And so this year we'll be attending virtually, unfortunately, but we're putting an ad in the National Center magazine. So Native businesses that go to the conference can at least connect with us, recognize us, contact us. So how do you contact us? It's really, really pretty easy. This is what we ask for from you. We currently do not have an external portal, but I'm happy to report that that's coming, although it will probably be August of this year. So up until that time, we're asking for companies interested in doing business with us to provide us a capability statement. So Darlene and I have an example on the left-hand side of this slide, which really just gives us information at a glance that we can look at, we can understand it, we can take that information and email it directly to our buyers and our end users in our organization. And then it's very easy for them to understand what your company does, what your Nexus codes are, what your capabilities are, and see how that fits in with SRP business. We will ask you for 2 references with a name, contact, email, phone number, because we do check on those references. It's an opportunity for owner to owner to talk about how the company has done for them. And so it's another verification process. Then we ask you to identify any certifications. We do ask for certifications from women and minority. For natives, it would be native blood certification that we would have identified. And then we also want our suppliers to align with us for our 2035 sustainability efforts. So we want to know, what are you doing in your business to reduce your carbon footprint and help us with making our world better when we leave than when we're here. And then those are just the few things that we're asking for you, from you right now. And one of the things I want to share with you is, we say capability statement, and so many times for myself and Darlene, people will say, I don't know what a capability statement is. Well, I'm thinking you could probably go to Joanne and ask her and get some guidance to your organization to understand how to put together a capability statement. But I want to share with you the 6 C's. Remember to put your codes in, your Nexus codes. We want to know your core competencies. What are you good at? And then all your contact information, all your company data, and then your expertise. You can put in, you've worked for 3 or 4 years with another company here in the Valley, and that's your expertise with your clients and your customers. But not only for SRP, I'm sure that APS, Southwest Gas, Cox Communication, all of the larger companies are going to ask for a capability statement. It would be in your best interest to have a capability statement, not just for us, but for everyone. And you can adjust them for each different organization you're interested in doing business with. It's very simple, it's electronic, and it would certainly help you with your business. So now on to what our general procurement is, because I think this is what most people are here to hear from us today. We buy everything from A to Z. When you think about what SRP does in the state of Arizona. So, think out of the box. If there's something that you provide in a service or product, doesn't happen to be on our list, you need to contact us and send us your capability statement so that we get an opportunity to really understand what your business is. So they share with you the upcoming opportunities that SRP has, and this really runs from now until springtime in 2022, but auto parts, ropes, chains, safety products. We have a big RFP coming out in September for that. Generation water treatment, low voltage wire, cable, auto oil, safety valves, testing. Those are some of the major RFPs that are coming up, but there are also future opportunities for consulting services. We do now have a diversity and inclusion manager at SRP. And so there's a lot of offerings for diversity and inclusion, could be consulting, training, in that field. We have the large janitorial RFP coming up in the spring, our parking lot sweeping. We have food services also in the spring of 22, ongoing plant services. And we always have sustainable construction services going on. We're always in construction. And then of course our R&D materials. So my recommendation would be linking your business to us. So we would like you to email that capability statement to supplierdiversity@srpnet.com. All that information, if you have certifications, apply those. Darlene basically works at the beginning of the vetting, initial vetting for suppliers. And then she shares those capability statements with all of our buyers, our end users, people across our enterprise in your area. And then she keeps your information in our enterprise content management system so that when a buyer comes to us and says, I have an RFP going out next week, what supplier do you have that may fit our criteria? And then we can go back and look at that. So these are just some simple ways for you to be connected with us. So with that, I just want to say thank you for your time, attention. I'm happy to answer any questions. Certainly, Henry and Joanne can share our presentation so everyone can actually have those RFPs and the information.
Thank you, Patti. If you don't mind, we'd like to hold off questions until the end of all the presentations.
Absolutely.
You can also input your question in the chat box, and then we'll have Henry run those through at the end of all the presentations. Yeah. Thank you, Patti. Thank you for your presentation.
Happy to do that.
Next up, we have Sibia Manzanarez. I hope I said that right. I get tongue twisted when I say your name, Sibia. But he is
no problem. It's okay. It's a whole 10 letters. So
yeah, no.
You, Joanne.
So Sibia is from Arizona Public Service. Thank you for joining us today, Sibia. Take it away.
Thank you. No, thank you for having me. Again, my name is Sibia Manzanarez. I am the Supplier Diversity Program Manager for RFPS. I've been in this role almost 2 years. Some of you who have not met me probably knew my predecessor, Jesus Borboa. If you're looking for him, he is at PayPal because people still ask me, so I stand him over there. He is a really good friend, actually. So I'm gonna go over some items for APS. Patti and I have a lot of overlap because utilities kind of have a lot of the same types of products and services that we buy. So she mentioned that we share some suppliers. I also reach out to Joanne when I need some suppliers, you know, so sometimes they could be a little bit of a niche supplier in the Four Corners area. So thank you, Joanne, for helping us when we're looking for a supplier over there. So we're gonna get going. I wanted to talk about where we fit my program, my Supplier Diversity and Development. I want to make sure that you can see my screen just fine, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Sibia, I'm sorry to interrupt, but could you do the slide preview so it'll show the whole slide? Thank you.
A little.
Yeah, click on that.
Yeah, I clicked on it. It's just my computer's being a little slow.
Oh,
there
okay.
we go.
Oh, there we go. Thank you.
All right. So Supplier Diversity and Development, we're also housed in supply chain management. But I wanted to kind of show you, you know, in procurement, we have two parts of procurement. We're in the procurement piece and then the materials management piece. We are housed in support services. Supplier diversity and our diverse supplier training program are housed in support services, as well as supply chain sustainability. So Patti mentioned a little bit on, you know, on your capability statement, mentioning what you're doing on sustainability efforts. APS has similar, very aggressive goals on sustainability. We have a commitment of being clean, 100% clean by 2050. So I know it seems like a long time, but for kind of like our legacy systems and how we do business, it's actually pretty aggressive. And then your service and your product would probably be within either our materials management or our procurement operations side of the house. All right, we'll keep going. And I apologize, this is a little slow. So my program was developed in 1992. And we have the similar certifications that most other programs have. The native owned certification is one of our approved certifications. Last year, we added, last June actually, the LGBTQ certification as well. So we're actually pretty proud of that we have that certification in our program. Also, our diverse training program started in 1995. That program was an in-person program, and we're actually revamping that program to be a virtual program that is actually going to be a program that a person can kind of take at their leisure, not that you have to do it live, because we have seen a need in the community to have the flexibility, because our program used to be in person and you would come in once, twice a month. So, and a lot of our applicants, they're sole proprietors, so they were very busy. So and due to the pandemic, we've had to reshift our focus to be virtual. So I'm hoping that we're actually working on it right now. So I'm hoping that I think early next year we'll have our new program. So more to come on that. And when we are looking for new applicants, I will definitely reach out to Joanne. This slide just shows our certifications. If you would like to know a little more information on APS supplier diversity, you can go to aps.com/supplier diversity and you'll see it all. But again, our certifications are pretty standard to most other supplier diversity programs. And here we go. I wanted to show you our general areas of opportunities for suppliers. Within the material space, we have things like safety tools. We don't have much on transformers and switchgear because we have long-term agreements for those. So I just wanted to put that out there. Some major equipment, generation services. I would say generation and under energy delivery, we have more opportunity within the construction space. I see a lot more RFPs within that area. Contingent labor is another one. And I wanted to mention Palo Verde. We've been working very closely with Palo Verde since last year. We actually made it a goal to work with Palo Verde because Palo Verde has their own supply chain department. So we've been collaborating with that department, and I see a lot more activity now. So I'm pretty excited about that. We manage at APS our RFPs and our registrations through a platform called Power Advocate. So I wanted to go over Power Advocate really quickly. And I wanted to actually kind of show you what it looks like. So we do our supplier registration through Power Advocate. And later in the presentation, I'll show you what the link is, and I can even add it to the chat, and you can click on the link and go register for APS. The registration is free. You go in there and you register and you tell us what products and services you have. You also would, part of your registration, you upload your certification. So any type of certification like small business, diverse business, women-owned business. If you have those, please upload that and then we can take a look at that. So when you are, so step number one, whenever I talk to anyone, I say you need to register. Before we can do anything else, you need to register, because if I connect you to a buyer or an opportunity, Power Advocate is where you're going to see the opportunity. So if they go to if they want to add you, they want to be able to see you there. So when you go to Power Advocate, you actually get an invitation via an email saying, APS has invited you to submit an RFP. So you get something that looks like this when you enter that link, and it tells you to download all the documents. And typically at APS, we have an instructions to bidders document that tells you what we expect from you in the RFP, RFQ. If we have any way that we want to see the pricing submitted, we actually also request that as well. I wanted to mention one thing that I see a lot of times is as a missed opportunity is when you submit a pricing, please submit it how it's requested. But you can also submit an alternate proposal. A lot of times you are an expert in your industry. We are not. We are just buying a small piece of service or a product, but you know your business. So if you think there is an easier, faster, cheaper way to do something, believe me, we want to know that. So please let us know. So I would say if you have the time, submit an alternate proposal in addition to the regular proposal that we've asked for. And I'm happy to answer more questions on that later, but I wanted to mention that. Some expectations for bidders. I would say brevity is great because when you think about a buyer's time, they're very busy, so they don't really have a lot of time to read a 30-page document where you can respond to it in a one-page document. I mentioned the third bullet says provide your value-add proposition, again, through maybe an alternate proposal. How are you different? Because you kind of have to think through, we are probably already buy this service from someone else. So how are you helping? How are you different? Why would we choose you for that product and service? Safety also, Patti mentioned at SRP is very important, is also very important for us as well. So if you're, for example, in the construction industry, I think it's something that is definitely something you should consider mentioning in your response. I wanted to, speaking of safety, within any high risk work at APS, we have a service called ISN World. This service evaluates your safety performance as a company. So for example, for any construction related high risk items, we require our suppliers to be an ISN net. I won't spend too much time on this, but if you have questions on this, please let me know, because this actually comes to as a cost to our suppliers. And we can talk about, do you really need to be in this or not to be able to do business with APS? So I mentioned before, step number one with us is to register, right? So we know who you are and what products and service that you provide. If you go to aps.com/supplier diversity, there is a link there it says submit paperwork, and it takes you to this supplier registration portal. So here it'll go through the different areas. And like I mentioned, one of the areas is to provide your business certification. So you'll be able to upload that and tell us what products and services that you provide. Our buyers actually go into this portal to look for suppliers. We have a goal of, having at least one diverse supplier in our RFPs. So when buyers cannot find a diverse supplier, they actually ask me for help. So this is why I always ask you to register with us as step number one when you reach out to me. And it's pretty easy. To recap, we are developing a virtual format for our diverse supplier training program. We definitely want to expand our relationships with potential diverse suppliers. We do business with a lot of different diverse suppliers, but we want to be able to do more business with our suppliers. So please go into our registration portal and register your business if you have not done so yet. All right, that is all I have. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Sibia. Thank you for your presentation and time this afternoon. We're going to hold off questions until the end. But next up, we have Dalina Amador from the PNM of New Mexico. She is this supply chain sourcing manager. So Dalina, take it away.
Sure, definitely. Thank you all for your time and efforts to be in this session today. So I need to go ahead and share my screen, right? Yeah, and I'm the one who always has technical problems. So the last time I couldn't even stay on the call. So I'm going to the bottom and then I'm saying share screen.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And okay, I'm just gonna say entire screen. It doesn't let me, the share is grayed out. It doesn't let me click on it. It's not active for me.
Hey, Henry.
I would probably just, Dalina, this is Henry. I would probably just make sure that it's your document, if it's a PowerPoint, is open first before you push this share screen.
Yeah, it is. Let's see. Yeah, I had it all ready to go. So let's see, let's do one. And I wanted to share some of the websites that we have. I'm wondering if I'm gonna be able to do that, but let's keep trying. Okay, I'm saying share screen. I'm just trying to share my entire screen, and then again, the share icon is not available.
Well, maybe it's what program are you using to present? Is your PowerPoint?
Yes, that is correct. Mm-hmm.
So if there's the when you're sharing the screen, you should have a PowerPoint icon rather than the screen.
Okay. All right. Got it. Here you go.
There you go.
Yep, we can see it.
Yeah, well, thank you again. My name is Dalina Amador. I am a sourcing manager. So I'm not dedicated to diversity. The diversity program and small business program within PNMR is embedded within the sourcing supply chain team. So we all have our part in making sure that we reach out to small businesses, attend different events. I make sure that we follow our diversity policy, as well as all the initiatives to make sure that we are there for the community and for our diverse and small businesses. However, my team, we collect the spend numbers and we administer the registration portals and all the communications with the vendors in an effort to support the supplier the suppliers as well as the sourcing analysts that are in constant contact with the internal business units, trying to make sure that they have RFPs out in the street, and also making sure that they have what they need in terms of procurement of materials and services for the various projects that we have internally. So in-house, part of the sourcing supply chain team, but definitely highly embedded and making sure that the sourcing analysts have access to these new options in the market to be part of the RFP processes. So let's talk a little bit about PNM Resources. PNM Resources is an energy holding company, headquartered here in Albuquerque. So the total amount of customers that we have is 790,000 homes and businesses in New Mexico and Texas. So PNM is a regulated utility here in New Mexico. And we have generation, transmission, distribution, and as well as retail services with more than 500,000 customers, residential and business. And of course, I mean, we have connections, excellent business connections with New Mexico tribal communities. And I have listed some of them, some of the key ones in our presentation, but really throughout the pandemic, I mean, we were working hand by hand with our tribes to make sure that they were well covered, not only from a business opportunity perspective, but also with all the needs that were derived by the challenges that the pandemic brought to all of us. So definitely a very strong relationship with the Navajo Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, just like Sibia and Patti also shared. We also have a very strong business relationships with all these chambers of commerce. Then TNMP, a lot of the vendors that we work with, I mean, don't really know about TNMP, but TNMP is our affiliate in Texas. So we are scattered around the whole state of Texas. Over there, we do not have generation of power. We only have transmission, distribution, and retail. But we have more than 250,000 homes and businesses throughout the state of Texas. The headquarter office in Texas is in Louisville, Texas, and we have more than 400 employees. PNM, the count of employees is around 1,300, so a total of 1,700 employees for the entire corporation. So it is important to let you know about TNMP because we have a presence in Texas. We are there, and we are constantly reaching out for diverse and small businesses in these regions for all the activity that we have over there. A lot of people know our organization as PNM, but in reality, we are PNM Resources, and we have two affiliates, PNM and TNMP. So we have opportunities for these two entities. And the diversity program is definitely a diversity program that we have at the corporate level. As I mentioned previously, everyone in the organization is highly embedded with this program, and it is also part of the sustainability goals. So definitely it's very nice and encouraging to see that this program is just going to keep growing. I don't see it getting smaller. It's just going to get a lot more attention, and that is great because the more resources we can allocate to enhance what we currently have, the better we can serve our community and the businesses we are currently working with. So one of our main goals or mission is to deliver reliable, clean, and affordable energy, and to do it safely, just like Patti and Sibia already talked about safety. I mean, safety is one of the key core values for our corporation. We actually came up with a phrase that is now highly utilized within the organization: be the reason everyone goes home safe. Actually, we have a contest where employees participated with different safety phrases, and this was the one that was selected. So be the reason everyone goes home safe. And that's the same culture that we transmit and promote within our vendors. And just like Sibia mentioned, we also have a third-party auditing company for safety scoring. And it's actually the same exact vendor that APA utilizes, and it's ISNet. The registration is not required for all the services and materials that we are procuring. So we make it really clear to our vendors during the RFP process or when we are working on specific projects when there is a need for this registration, because there is a cost associated with this registration. I believe the cost varies depending on the number of employees and the size of your business. And this is the responsibility of the vendor. However, we definitely try to make sure that you clearly understand when this is required. Right now, the requirement at PNMR is for vendors providing high-risk activities or services on site. We have a matrix that we can share with our vendors so they see what activities actually fall under high-risk or medium-risk activities and services. This is a good guidance because in that way we can let them know if the registration is required or not. And definitely this registration is part of the RFP evaluation process. So then the areas where we have opportunities for our small businesses and diverse businesses, I have them listed here. Actually, I want to say that I'm very proud because PNM goal to be zero carbon energy is by 2040. So, and with some projects that we currently have in the pipeline, I believe we are going to be able to be zero carbon energy by 2035, 2036. But the goal, the target right now is 2040, but we are being very aggressive. We are super busy in the generation areas to make sure that we can beat that goal and make sure that we have clean energy prior to that year. So definitely there is a huge opportunity in that area. And the RFPs that we currently have available for capacity and energy resources are public RFPs. PNM is a regulated entity, so we need to make sure that we submit all awarded proposals and contracts to the commission for the review and approval. So these events and RFP processes are actually public and posted in our website. And we also have press releases to make sure that everyone is aware of these projects and to make sure that everyone knows that they have an opportunity to participate. So if you go to pnm.com/RFP, you can see that. I wanted to show that. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do it with the sharing capabilities that I have now, but we can give it a try later. So pnm.com/RFP, that will take you to where we have these public RFPs posted. And we administered all these RFPs through the Jagger platform. That's the current platform that we utilize for all these events and projects. So we provide clear instructions so you guys can register and you know how to follow the process to submit a proposal if you decide to register. And we currently have an event posted there for capacity and energy resources. So I encourage you to visit that as well. You can also visit pnm.com/IRP. And that one is where you could see what our IRP plans are for the upcoming years. And that will give you a very good insight of the mix of resources that we are focusing on and looking for in terms to replace the current generation that we have in the state. So this is a program heavily focused on the state of New Mexico because this is the state or the area where we have generation. Then we definitely have, and I have some other, let me just escape here because I wanted to show you, I'm not sure. Can you see this chart that I'm sharing, or are you still able to see the power presentation?
Yeah, I'm still seeing the PowerPoint presentation.
PowerPoint.
Dalina,
Okay, all right. So
need to just stop sharing and then share again, and then whatever document you're looking at. Is it an Excel file or a Word document?
okay, so let's do that. Yes, stop sharing, and then I'm gonna say share screen. Let's do, yeah, perfect. So I'm gonna keep doing that. Thank you. So these are the areas where we have the most opportunities or the best growth for diverse and small businesses. So this chart shows our diversity is spent. So it is important to clarify the term diverse versus small businesses. The small businesses, as we know, are defined by the SBA, and it depends on sometimes, depending on your NAICS code, is based on the number of employees that you have or on the total sales for your company. So, and it is really a small business. Diverse business is a business owned by a minority, regardless of the business size. So this chart shows the number of businesses or the spend that we have associated with diverse businesses. So businesses that are owned by a minority, regardless of the business size. So it could be a large business that is owned by a minority. And small businesses, it's really a genuine small business according to the SBA regulations and parameters and requirements. So here I'm showing diverse businesses. This is how the spend keeps growing. And similar to APS, as you can see, we have a huge opportunity in the construction area. So generation area is mainly consulting and maintenance services, huge opportunity for corporate services in the area of marketing. Building maintenance is another area that we have a lot of opportunities, BTS, construction, equipment, and definitely professional services. But as you can see here, construction, generation, BTS, and professional services are really the areas where right now or small business or diverse businesses are really making a difference for our company. So I thought that it was important to let you know, I mean, how is this looking, because in that way you can target a specific RFPs or a specific projects whenever you are reaching out to us. And just like Sibia and Patti were mentioning, the first step to reach out to us is to make sure that you register, right? That you register with us. And now that's what I want to show you now. So I will go there. I will do the sharing again. So we do have two portals, the PNM and the TNMP. So I just want to show you really quick how to get there. Okay. So this is our pnm.com portal. And like I was explaining, if you do /RFP, you can see the current opportunities that we have in the generation area. As I was explaining, these are public events, so these are posted publicly. Then if you go just to pnm.com, this is where you can find the link to register with our company. So let me just launch it again. And then let me just show you TNMP. So we have a PNM resources website, we have a PNM and then a TNMP. So for example, here with TNMP, you go to About Us, and then let's just make sure. It seems for vendors, they recently updated our website, so it actually looks very nice. So for vendors, tell us you're interested, and this is where you can go ahead and submit all your information. So the way it works is when you are registered, this goes to a prospective vendors database that is consulted by all the sourcing analysts that work the different commodities within our company. And they are required to consult it whenever they have new projects or RFP opportunities to make sure that they include vendors that have reached out to us and are in line with the services or materials that they are looking for or they are putting together an RFP for. So really a very simple registration process. It's really, we ask for your general company information, but it's really important to make sure that you identify your industry code. So we are asking for the 2-digit code and definitely the 6-digit code as well, and your business classification. And again, if you are a minority ownership or if you are just a small business, that is something that can be clarified here, because as I said, we are looking for both small businesses and minority businesses. So with the same page, we have for PNM. So we go to About Us in PNM, and that's where we can find the same registration. So now I would like to stop sharing. Sorry, I have like tons of windows open now. So I'm going back to the presentation. So the other area where we have a lot of opportunities is environmental. A lot of the vendors, the small businesses that we have are in the environmental area. So we are usually looking for vendors that can conduct site assessments, archaeological, biological, or cultural surveys for the different construction projects that we have, not only in New Mexico, but in Texas. And in the case of Texas, since we are really scattered around the whole state, we have a huge need to make sure that we find vendors that are nearby the construction projects that we have going on over there, because sometimes it's not cost effective to have somebody from New Mexico provide services to a location or construction project in Texas. And then in the transmission and distribution area, as you could see in the graph that I was demonstrating earlier, we have a huge growth in construction, and this is mainly driven by all the projects that we have going on for transmission and distribution. So the majority of the projects that we focus on right now is new building, so new buildings, the general services buildings, but definitely new construction for new substations and switchyards, and also upgrades for the current and existing transmission and distribution lines. So now that we are moving towards renewable energy and new energy projects, there is a huge need to make sure that the transmission lines are enhanced. So because of that, we have a lot of projects in terms of making sure that we expand the existing transmission lines and that we enhance them. So that is an area that will keep growing for the upcoming years. An important aspect for these projects is that it is different. So if we are building just a facility for general services or offices, the requirements are a lot less than if we are going to be working on transmission and distribution lines. So it is important to take a look at the required licenses, the required licenses for these projects, as these are required by the time the proposal is submitted. So that is really important to keep in mind and into consideration whenever you decide to participate in a project like that. And general construction license is important, but once you go into energized areas, we need to make sure that you have the right licenses, and that is part of the RFP instructions as well. So just making sure that you are aware of that requirement. And then corporate services, we already talked about it. Marketing, BTS, where those are areas that are definitely growing in the upcoming years. And then we also talked about safety and the phrase that we have at PNMR for safety, the different sites where you can register. And I think that with that, I mean, I'm done. Thank you so much for your time and for listening. I'm sorry because I'm always the one who has technical issues with the connection.
No worries, Dalina. I think we all have those challenges sometimes in this age of Zoom meetings. So, but you did a great presentation, and I want to thank you for joining us today. Thanks to all of our speakers, for Patti, for Sibia and Dalina, as well as Darlene for joining us from SRP. We're grateful that you took the time to share information about your organizations and how our small businesses can participate in those opportunities. So Henry, do we have any questions in the chat box?
We do not have any questions yet. If anybody needs to ask a question, you can unmute yourself or put it in the chat. If you're calling by phone, you can press *6 to unmute yourself and ask the question.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cecilia So, and I just love the presentations. They were really great. And thanks for sharing the websites. I don't really have a question. I know it's a long process to register businesses and, you know, submit all the proper documentation. Are you guys going to share your contact information with Henry so that he can maybe share that with us in case we, Donella, I really liked, so if we have technical difficulties that we can contact you, that would be great.
Sure, we will have that information for you, Cecilia, and thank you for joining us today. You can go ahead and send me an email. My email address is joan@ncaied.org, and we'll get you that information. If you want a copy of the slide presentations, I'd be happy to share that with you as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Joanne, I just wanted to make a quick note. I wanted to mention that please call us if you have general questions as well. I also coach new suppliers on kind of our process. I used to be a buyer and a category manager myself, so I know definitely what to look for when in proposals and quotes. So please reach out. We can answer general questions because each of us kind of has a little bit of a different process. So let us know. I'm happy to get on a call with you and to help you out.
Great, thank you, Sibia. Do you have any other questions? If not, we're almost, we've got 5 minutes left on this call. I do have a couple of announcements in our next sessions with the Dene Workshop Series. On May 11th, we'll be doing a session on presenting accounting information to non-accountants. So that's me. So, I mean, if anybody else needs like an updated kind of Cliff Note sheets of accounting practices and rules, then that would be a good session for you. That's May 11th. And on June 17th, we'll be doing responding to federal RFPs, writing a winning proposal. So that's a 3-day session that we're going to be presenting on the same DED platform. So we look forward to being able to share with you the rest of our calendars for our workshop series with DED and PTAC office. We'll be sending those out by email as soon as we have that schedule finalized. So in closing, I just want to say thank you all for joining us today. And of course, if you have any questions, please reach out to Henry or I, and we can help you get the information that you are seeking. And I'm just going to give time to Henry to close out the session.
Well, thank you, Joanne. Well, this presentation closes out our April schedule for trainings. Monday we'll be sending out the information for May schedule and give you the links and information to log on. And you can get that information at the Dene Chamber of Commerce webcast. And also you can contact the Regional Business Development Office in Shiprock, Chinle, St. Michael's, Church Rock, or Tuba City, and they can provide you the login information. Just a note that in September, the Navajo Nation is going to have its economic summit. Not sure on the date yet, but be sure to be ready for that. And this year, again, we will be doing a business plan competition. So again, contact your RBDOs to work on your business plan to get some of your ideas funded. But thank you to our presenters. Thank you to Joanne. And you all have a great day, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.